All right, so the college football playoff today announced that they're moving from the original 6 highest conference champions to the 5 highest conference champions are automatically in the new 12-team playoff. So we've had a little switching because of that. Last time, for example, I had Liberty in as the 6th conference champion. But without that, as you know, we lose the Pac-12, we're moving to a Power 4 of sorts. This kind of opens up a spot. So I've updated it as far as this is after Nick Saban left, after Harbaugh left. Last time, Nick Saban was still the coach at Alabama, and there's been a lot of movement since my last way too early college football playoff prediction. So let's take an updated look here. Now, just to brief you if you aren't familiar. All right, so the top 4 seeds are not necessarily the top 4 teams. Those are the top 4 highest conference champions. So, for example, number 4 and number 3, those aren't necessarily top 4 teams in the nation. I'm not saying that, but they are conference champions, so they're going to be a top 4 seed. All right, as far as who could move in or who could move out, I think for the most part, besides 4 and 3, I think these are most likely going to be the teams. Now at 4, you've got the winner of the ACC. So a few teams you could see, obviously NC State, that's who I'm predicting right now. You've also got Louisville. All right, they have kind of loaded up in the transfer portal. They look pretty good. And then another team you could potentially see is Miami. All right, Miami, obviously bringing in Cam Ward, have the talent to play with anybody, but under Mario Cristobal, we know that's a little questionable. And then I would say Florida State is pretty talented as well. Now, Florida State does play Memphis. So if Florida State is here, that could definitely benefit Memphis. All right, so whether Memphis wins or loses, let's say Memphis beats Florida State wins the ACC, you could see some serious shaking up as Memphis would all of a sudden be a top 4 seed. So that's definitely a possibility. Then number 3, all right, the Big 12, you got a few contenders. Oklahoma State, Utah, and West Virginia are the 3 I think are legitimate contenders at the moment. A couple other teams, Arizona has the talent, but they got a new coach. Jedd Fisch went to Washington, so we'll see how Arizona does. And then another team, Kansas State, they're always pretty good. But let's break it down a little bit here. All right, so obviously with this, I think it's kind of, could move around a little bit. The main thing I was trying to do here as far as with these 12 teams, these are all the 12 teams I think will be in, but you want to avoid in the first round a rematch. They're not going to want that for TV's sake. They're not going to want a rematch in the second round either for TV's sake. So we kind of tried to adjust that for that. All right, so obviously in the bottom corner, number 12, we got Memphis. Number 5, we've got Texas. All right, so out of Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, I think one of them is going to beat Georgia because Georgia has a tough schedule, probably the toughest really in the nation almost. They also play Clemson in the preseason, or non-con, I won't say preseason. But basically, I think Texas, Alabama, or Ole Miss, one of them is going to beat Georgia, and then Georgia will beat them in the championship, which will put Georgia at 2, and then the loser, whether it's Alabama, Ole Miss, or Texas, at 5. All right, then moving over, bottom right corner, number 6, Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame has a legitimate shot to go undefeated this year. They play A&M, they play USC, they play Louisville. Those are their 3 toughest games. I think they can go undefeated. If Riley Leonard stays healthy, they should. Number 11, you got Missouri. They have a pretty nice schedule. I think they're only going to lose to Alabama. Other than that, they avoid Ole Miss. They avoid Georgia. They avoid Texas. Really nice schedule there. Moving up to the top right, 7 and 10, you've got Oregon and Penn State. Yes, I know they're both in the Big Ten, but they avoid each other. They don't play each other this year. Both of them play Ohio State. I'm not really sure the tiebreaker there. I assume both of them are going to lose to Ohio State and have 1 loss each. Ohio State will be undefeated. So whichever, basically Oregon and Penn State, I don't think it's going to matter, obviously, but whoever doesn't make the championship will be 7 because really it's going to benefit you from not making the championship because you'd lose that game. I'm not sure how the committee will judge that. Like, do you punish somebody for making the championship and then losing? I don't know because both their losses would be to Ohio State. Just one of them lost to Ohio State twice is what I think is going to happen. So either way, that could flip 7 and 10. Then 8 and 9, similar situation. They don't play each other this year, Alabama or Ole Miss. And like I said, I think one of them has the potential to move to 5. If they beat Georgia and then losing the championship, it's definitely possible. And then Alabama, I think, dips Missouri, which gets them above Missouri. All right, but looking at the potential semifinal matchups here, there's some pretty good matchups. Alabama or Ole Miss versus Ohio State. There'd be talent all over the field. Texas versus NC State. Probably give Texas the win there, but Memphis is really talented. Like I said, they play Florida State in the non-con. I don't know why I keep saying preseason. If Memphis beats Florida State, watch out for Memphis. I think they're loaded this year. Should be the group of 5 representation there. And then on the other side, all right, bottom right, Oklahoma State, you got the winner of Notre Dame and Missouri. Should be a good matchup. And then Georgia versus Oregon or Penn State. Really good matchups there. You avoid any rematches. Also, through the quarters or the semis, I think this is really good bracket here. And I think these are probably going to be the 12 teams. Like I said, there still could be some switch ups as far as, let's say NC State doesn't make it out of the ACC. Let's say Oklahoma State doesn't make it out of the Big 12. That's possible. But other than that, I think these teams are pretty set in stone, minus maybe Notre Dame. That's the only team I'm a little questionable on. But other than that, though, I think it's probably set. Memphis, even if they lose a game to Florida State, I still think they would get in over Liberty unless Florida State just absolutely tanks, because Liberty made it this year and just got manhandled. So I think that kind of works against them. But again, this is my way too early playoff predictions for next season. Obviously, it's subject to change with transfers and spring ball and all that good stuff. But let me know your thoughts. Who would you move up? Who would you move down? Who would you put into the field? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video. Most importantly, subscribe.